A very good evening to all our viewers and welcome to this Sunday's edition of Primetime News coming to you live from our Newsfirst studios in Colombo. I'm Arundhati Mudannaik and let's start off with a look at the stories making headlines this evening.
Island-wide power supply restored after 5 hours. 3 generators in Norochole still inactive. Minister of Energy says imbalance in the grid was the reason for the breakdown. President to leave for the UAE tomorrow to attend World Government Summit 2025. Government launches National Beach Cleanup Program.
පිටිපස්සේ විශාල අර්ථයක් තියෙනවා. සුද්ධ කරන්න ඕනේ අපේ පරිසරය විතරක් නෙවෙයි අපේ සමාජය.
Cabinet appoints subcommittee to provide relief to people affected by the Uma Oya project. Australia retain Vaughan Muralidharan Trophy.
And now the stories in detail. The Ministry of Energy says that the national grid has been brought back to normalcy and the island-wide supply of power has been restored. An island-wide power outage occurred this morning due to an imbalance in the national grid.
How did the island-wide power outage occur? Minister of Energy, Engineer Kumaran Jayakudi, said that the island-wide power outage occurred after a monkey came into contact with the equipment at the Panadura grid substation at about 11 this morning. He said that this incident had caused an imbalance in the grid that in turn caused the island-wide power outage. Residents close to the Panadura grid substation had this to say about the incident.
There was an island-wide power outage after a breakdown occurred at the Panadura grid substation. This incident had occurred on a date and time when the usage of hydropower is at its lowest and solar energy usage is at its highest. The incident occurred at about 11 a.m.
The island-wide power outage affected the general public for about 5 hours.
මැෂින් එකක් ඔෆ් වුණා කියමුකෝ කරන්ට් එකක් ගිහලා ආයෙ මැෂින් එකක් ගෙද්දී ආක අනිවාර්යෙන් ඔන් වෙන්නේ නැහැ බෑක් අනිවාර්යෙන් තුනක් වෙනවා අපහාට මදර් බෝඩ් පිච්චෙන එක තියෙනවා මැෂින් බෝඩ් පිච්චෙන එක වෙනවා ඒ පිච්චුවත් එක අපිට යන්නේ නැහැ නේ නැත්ද වැඩ ටික ඉතින් මේ ෆෝන් එකක් ගහගෙන තමයි කරන්න වෙන්නේ වෙන මොකුත් ආලෝකයක් නැහැ නේ පේනවනේ තියෙන කලර් කස්ටමර්ස් ඇවිල්ලා රස්තියාදු වෙනවා මොකක්ද අප්පා එපා වෙලා තියෙන්නේ මේ වැඩේ කරන්ට් එක නෑ උදේ ඉඳලා බලන්න දැන් මේ හෝටල් එක අපි කරගෙන යන්නේ සෙනග එනවා ආපහු හැරලා යනවා උයාත කෑම විකුණන විදියක් නැහැ.
The power outage had affected many businesses in Kurunegala. This is how a barber in Kurunegala had opted to provide his services to a customer amid the power outage. Can an imbalance in the national grid cause an island-wide power outage? Generally, 44.5 gigawatts of power are generated, out of which 21.78 are generated through renewable energy sources. The remaining 22.27 gigawatts of energy are generated using fossil fuels. The power outage today occurred between 11 a.m. and 12 noon, which is a time period where the daily power consumption is recorded at a value between 1,200 and 1,300 megawatts. 590 megawatts of this energy is generated through renewable energy sources, while the remaining 700 is generated using coal. However, these values increase during a weekend based on the demand. In the event that there is a breakdown in the supply of coal-generated energy, the deficit cannot be supplemented by renewable energy sources alone.
We cannot run on solar energy alone without hydropower coming into our system. When solar energy increases, it affects the entire system. The entire system is interconnected. When it gets switched off from one end, the load increases on the other. Then the system overloads. That is what happened here. Those who have a technical knowledge about this can understand.
With the breakdown in the supply of power, all 3 generators at the Norotchole power plant are currently inactive. The 3 generators at the Norotchole power plant have a capacity of 900 megawatts, with each generator capable of generating 300 megawatts each. As a portion of the energy generated by the power plant is used for operating the power plant, each generator had only been contributing 270 megawatts of energy to the national grid. It is expected that it would take roughly 2 weeks to bring these generators back to normalcy. The Public Utilities Commission of Sri Lanka has called for a report on the island-wide power outage and has said that further action will be taken based on the findings of the report.
There are many developments that should be made to our system. Although we use solar energy, the system is not geared for this alone. We are taking necessary steps.
The history of island-wide power outages. Breakdown of power supply in March 2016. Power supply breaks down on the 3rd of December 2021 due to a technical fault in the Kotmale and Birgama transmission system. A breakdown at the transmission system in Keravalapitia on the 17th of August 2020 causes a 6-hour power outage. The most recent island-wide power outage was reported on the 9th of December 2023. The reason for this breakdown was a lightning strike on the Kotmale-Birgama transmission line. Officials assured that investigations will be carried out on every occasion when an island-wide power outage occurred. Officials had also undertaken to present recommendations on how to ensure that such island-wide power outages do not occur again. In the face of these island-wide power outages, how big is the loss caused to the Ceylon Electricity Board and the economy of the country? Shouldn't the current officials take steps to find viable solutions to this issue?
President Anukumar Dissanayake will undertake a visit to the United Arab Emirates from tomorrow, the 10th of February to the 13th of February at the invitation of President of the UAE, Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan, to participate in the World Government Summit 2025.
The Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Foreign Employment and Tourism says that during the visit, President Dissanayake will address the World Government Summit 2025 in Dubai and hold bilateral discussions with President Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan on a range of areas of mutual interest. He is also scheduled to meet Vice President and Prime Minister of the UAE, Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum. Further, President Dissanayake will hold bilateral meetings with heads of state and governments from various countries who will attend the summit. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs says that President Dissanayake will also engage with a number of CEOs of leading global companies in the sectors of IT, AI, energy, tourism, finance and media to attract investments to Sri Lanka.
The National Beach Cleaning Program was launched today under the theme A Beautiful Beach, an Attractive Tourist Destination.
There are 14 coastal districts around Sri Lanka. The program is being implemented according to a long-term plan covering all those districts. The national program to create a beautiful coastline kicked off today at the Crow Island Beach Park in Matakulia. The initiative under the theme, quote, A Beautiful Coast, an Attractive Tourist Destination, end quote, was led by Prime Minister Dr. Harini Amarasuriya.
Clean Sri Lanka initiative එකේ ඒක පිටිපස්සේ විශාල අර්ථයක් තියෙනවා. සුද්ධ කරන්න ඕනේ අපේ.
The Clean Sri Lanka initiative is driven by a profound purpose. It calls for the cleansing of not just our environment but also our society. This project aims to eliminate the barriers that prevent us from leading a more civilized life, beginning with the pollution of our mindset. It represents an economic, social and societal transformation. To achieve this, we need significant public participation.
පරිවර්තනයක්. මේකට විශාල ජනතා සහභාගීත්වයක් අපිට අවශ්‍යයි.
We have initiated the Clean Sri Lanka initiative, starting with the country's highest institutions, the President, the Parliament and the courts. These three fundamental bodies of governance have been thoroughly cleansed.
To build a truly prosperous nation, we must first change our attitudes as a society. We believe that meaningful change can only be achieved if everyone actively participates in this initiative.
The beach cleaning initiative for the western and southern provinces under the national program to create a beautiful coastline kicked off this morning at Kalutara Beach under the patronage of Dr. Nalinda Jayatissa, the Minister of Health and Mass Media.
We cannot succeed in this initiative by cleaning up only ourselves. It is essential to expose corruption and take legal action against those responsible. And we are steadily working towards that. If additional laws or regulations are required, or if a constitutional amendment is necessary to ensure that political cleanliness is sustained, we are fully prepared to take those steps as well.
A beach cleaning initiative is conducted at the Dadala beach in Galle this morning with a strong turnout from various participants, including officials from government institutions and the police.
The current government has made a significant leap towards advance in the country, focusing on three main pillars: the eradication of poverty, the development of a digital economy and the Clean Sri Lanka initiative.
Another phase of the national program to create a beautiful coastline took place today at the Tangal beach. A separate program was held this morning at the Kirindaraja Mahaviharaya. This is how the coastline from Bundala to Pattiyavaraya in Hambantota was cleaned. The southern coastal cleanup program was carried out at 15 locations along the coast in Mathura district. The beach cleaning initiative was also conducted today at Vattala and Nigambu beaches.
Now, this revelation highlights the fate of the Polonnaruwa National Equipment and Machinery Organization, which is constructed at great public expense, only to be left abandoned and never put to use.
What happened to the village?
This National Equipment and Machinery Organization, which is under the purview of the Ministry of Housing and Construction, was last operational in 1990. Since then, the building has been left idle, with no use being taken whatsoever. Located in the heart of the Polonnaruwa Navanagara, this National Equipment and Machinery Organization once provided services to the regions of Tamankaduwa, Dimulagala and Alahara.
ආයතන හැටියට මේක නිලධාරීන් වැඩ කරා ඒ වගේම තමයි මේකේ තිබුණා යන්ත්‍රෝපකරණ බොහෝ ප්‍රමාණයක් අද දන්නේ නැහැ මොනවා වෙලා තියෙනවද කියලා වල් බිහිලා විනාශ වෙමින් පවතිනවා මහනගර සභාව තියෙන මීටර් 200ක් විතර ආසන්නයේ තියෙන්නේ ඒ නිසා මේ භූමිය ප්‍රයෝජනයක් ලබන ස්ථානයක් බවට පත් කළ දෙන්න කියලා සියලු දෙනාගෙන් ගෞරවයෙන් ඉල්ලා සිටිනවා.
This building, located near the Polonnaruwa court, the office of the Senior Superintendent of Police and other government institutions has been left in a state of disrepair. Why haven't the local authorities thought to renovate it and offer services to the people of the area? Shouldn't the responsibility for this fall to government officials who earn their salaries from public funds, as well as to politicians who come to power through public votes? Should someone always have to point out such issues to them?
What happened to the village?
Tonight on Happy Headlines, bringing you a glimpse of the visit by the Photographic Society of America to Sri Lanka.
Happy Headlines.
The photo gathering of the Photographic Society of America is being held in Sri Lanka this year. The President and other members of the Photographic Society of America received a warm welcome in Dambulla yesterday.
What did you think of the march in? What did you think of that? That was pretty stunning. Even I was dancing coming down. So with that, enjoy your stay here in Sri Lanka. I think it's critical that you enjoy yourselves, and again, please take home some wonderful memories.
Today marks day 2, and the group started off at Dambulla Cave Temple and later visited Sigiriya. The group is set to explore other fascinating destinations, including the historic Galle Fort, the renowned Pinnavala Elephant Orphanage, and the Navam Perahara at the Ganga Rama Temple.
Happy headlines.
News First with the people.
Former Member of Parliament Premanath C. Dolawatha, who received compensation for house damage, says that the documents regarding the method of property valuation should be provided to him.
We have found out who conspired and promoted the attacks that were carried out on our houses. We also know who were behind this. I have initiated legal action against all of these suspects to recover funds for the damages caused. I request the government's Department of Valuation to provide us with the relevant documents.
Meanwhile, the Samagi Jana Balawegaya also says that inflated compensation paid to MPs should be recovered.
From the compensation amounts that have been paid, it appears that some of these people have treasuries inside their homes, where they have stored many kilograms of gold and large sums of money. It's like they even had ancient artifacts in their possession. This created a good opportunity for them to inflate their worth and claim a larger compensation. That is why such a large amount had been estimated through the valuation process and paid to them. I'd like to remind the government to take steps to recover these inflated compensations from those responsible.
This is what Deputy Minister of Labour Mahinda Jayasinghe had to say.
The Galle Face Arugalia was a public uprising initiated by the youth of this country and had the blessing of all citizens. It was that Arugalia that was attacked by henchmen and thugs who were fed and equipped with weapons by certain politicians. The 9th of May 2022 was a day that we were able to witness state terrorism. It is to that state terrorism that the people of this country responded. Neither the JVP or NPP was behind it. It was all purely the response of the general public. If nothing had happened on the morning of the 9th of May, nothing would have happened in the evening either. Legal action is yet to be taken against Mahinda Rajapaksa and his gang, who were behind this incident that took place that morning. The people responded to that on the 9th of May.
Amid allegations that a group of former MPs from the previous government received compensation from public funds, reports emerged today regarding a committee appointed to offer compensation to people affected by a development project. A decision has been made to establish a cabinet subcommittee to address the concerns of those affected by the Umaoya project. This agreement was reached during a discussion attended by the ministers, deputy ministers and secretaries of Agriculture, Plantation, Land and Environment.
මේ උමාඔය ව්‍යාපෘතියෙන් වෙච්ච හානි වෙච්ච පාඩු පාරිසරික ප්‍රශ්න.
We have decided to submit a cabinet paper regarding the formation of a subcommittee to address the damages, issues and losses caused to the people by the Umaoya project. Minister of Agriculture Lal Kanta has taken responsibility for preparing the cabinet paper and ensure that it's processed through the relevant ministry. Once the cabinet paper is presented to the cabinet, the subcommittee will be formed. This subcommittee will conduct thorough assessments in various fields, allowing us to take the necessary action to support both the affected communities and the environment.
Several key issues will be given special focus: ensuring relief for individuals who have not yet received assistance following the acquisition of property for the Umaoya project, providing compensation for houses that have collapsed or suffered subsidence, providing compensation to those who have not yet been reimbursed for their lost crops, providing access to clean drinking water for affected communities, paying overdue rent to tenants, providing land and compensation compensation to individuals whose homes were completely destroyed, addressing environmental damage through a formal study and subsequent remediation efforts, and constructing the Halpitigala reservoir to supply irrigation water and electricity to communities downstream of Umaoya. In addition, another task assigned to the subcommittee is to conduct a full investigation into fraud, corruption, irregularities and illegal activities that occurred in the Umaoya project.
The provincial council election is fast approaching. By now, factions that were previously divided as political parties, entangled in legal disputes and separated ideologically, seem to be coming together. Meetings of various such political parties and groups were held in different parts of the island both yesterday and today.
SLPP held public meetings in many areas today. Representatives of the SLPP, SJP and even the New Democratic Front were seen holding discussions in the same room over the past week. Meanwhile, discussions between delegations of the SJB and the UNP have been going on for some time. UNP General Secretary Talatatu Korala spoke on the progress achieved so far through these discussions.
The discussions are still ongoing. We will be holding discussions this week as well. If we are able to reach an agreement, we can move forward. If not, we as the UNP cannot make all the decisions by ourselves. This election, leaders of all parties as well as party office bearers have a big responsibility. That is to unite and lay the foundation to change this deceitful administration. Meanwhile, a meeting was held today for candidates from the Sri Lanka Freedom Party who are set to contest in the upcoming provincial council elections in the Trincomalee district. The meeting was attended by a group of candidates who contested the last general election under the symbol of the gas cylinder, including Chamara Sampath Dasanayaka, Duminda Disanayaka and Lasantha Alagiyavanna. They spoke on how different political factions that were previously divided over legal disputes are now coming together.
Everyone from the Sri Lanka Freedom Party have come back together. Maithripala Sirisena, Vijayadasa Rajapaksa and everyone else who had taken legal action against each other have now reached certain agreements. However, no one external will be invited to join our party.
The People's Tomorrow organization convened a media briefing today and spoke on the various political alliances that are being newly formed.
අපිට පේනවා මේ වෙනකොට තනින් තන විපක්ෂේ කණ්ඩායම් යම් යම් සන්දාන හදාගනිමින් යම් යම් ආකාරයෙන්
We can now see various opposition factions attempting to unite through the formation of new alliances. Sajid Premadasa is facing a serious crisis in maintaining his leadership while steering the Samagi Jana Balawegaya forward as the main opposition party. Now he is trying to join forces with Dalit, Namal and even Ravi Karunanayaka, all who were rejected by the people of this country. There's one thing we all need to understand. Sajid Premadasa was incapable of building his own party by himself. No matter how much he talked, Dalit was also not able to build his own party. Namal was not able to retain his group with him. Now, like a vine next to a tree or a pole, these groups are trying to come together. That is what Sajid Premadasa is attempting to do. Keep in mind that the people have rejected every single one of you. The National People's Power did not emerge victorious by gathering people from different places. When you take a look at those who are with Sajid right now, it is so clear how much they don't match. These crooks have started coming together in fear of the new government's programs to catch them and the legal action initiated against them. Are they grouping out of their love for the country? No, it is to save themselves. These people are uniting for absolutely no good. Therefore, just like we defeated them earlier, this needs to be uprooted right now.
සියල්ල මේ රටට වින කටින්නමයි සෙට් වෙන්නේ. ඒ නිසා මීට පෙර අපි උන්න පරාජය කරා වගේම මේ ගොඩනැගෙන තත්වය දැල්ලෙන්ම ගහලා දාන්න අත්‍යවශ්‍යයි.
දැන් අපි දකිනවා පැහැදිලි ලෙසම සමගි ජනබලවේගය තුල.
It is now clear that the Samagi Jana Balawegaya is struggling to retain its leadership within the opposition. All those who were surrounding Sajid Premadasa before are now praising Ranil Wickremesinghe. We know that Ranil Wickremesinghe is a destroyer of democratic political parties. He tactfully split the United National Party, the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramana and even the Sri Lanka Freedom Party. This is a grave threat to democracy. I'd like to tell Sajith Premadasa that right now he is digging his own grave.
තමුන් ඔය දැන හෝ නොදැන කර යන්න හදන්නේ තමන්ගේ වල තමන් අතින්ම කපා ගැනීමක්.
There has been an increase in the arrival of Russian tourists over the first 5 days in February 2025.
The Sri Lanka Tourism Development Authority said that during this period, 5,795 Russian tourists have arrived in the country. This accounts for 13.1% of the total tourist arrivals in the month.
The final rites of late Newsfirst journalist Anuruddha Ratnayaka will be observed at the Thamuttegama Putiyagama Public Cemetery tomorrow.
The mortal remains of the late Newsfirst journalist Anuruddha Ratnayaka was laid at a private funeral house in Borella from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. yesterday. Many people, including family and friends, gathered to pay their final respects. After 10 p.m., the body was taken to his hometown, Thamuttegama in Anuradhapura. Anuruddha Ratnayaka, a journalist of the Newsfirst team for nearly 2 decades, tragically passed away last Friday at the age of 42. As a programs officer at the Maharaja Institute of Management, Anuruddha played a pioneering role in introducing many talented individuals to the country through the Sirasa media network. From his role as a reporter to becoming a news editor, he was involved in several programs, including Gammadda, Sahanayatra, V-Force and Davasa.
The Galle Literary Festival, a whirlwind of words, creativity and culture, wrapped up today.
Galle transformed into a vibrant hub of literary magic, drawing writers, readers and creative minds from all corners of the globe. As part of the Galle Literary Festival, several captivating segments of the art trail curated by Atra magazine were showcased at various locations throughout the historic Galle fort. This unique collaboration between literature and visual art transformed the iconic fort into a living canvas. From engaging panel discussions to intimate author talks, the festival had something for every kind of literary lover. The air was filled with excitement as authors shared stories of their travels, cultural exchanges, and the writing process, while audiences eagerly absorbed every word. Poetry readings had the crowd swaying. The Gammadda Give a Book project also concluded today. The books collected under the project will be donated to the library at Sri Gunananda School in Udugama, Galle, a facility established by Gammadda. The response to the project has been inspiring, with contributions continuing to pour in throughout the Galle Literary Festival.
Moving on to news overseas, US President Donald Trump said he has spoken to Russian President Vladimir Putin about ending the war in Ukraine.
President Donald Trump announced in an interview published Saturday that he has spoken with Russian President Vladimir Putin. Trump said in the interview that he, quote-unquote, better not say how many times he had spoken with Putin, but touted a, quote, good relationship with the Russian counterpart. It was not immediately clear when the leaders spoke or if they had spoken since Trump took office in January and how many times. The US President expressed hope that Putin's war in Ukraine, which is approaching its 3rd anniversary, ends, quote-unquote, fast. He had previously vowed to end the conflict within 24 hours of taking office. Trump said earlier this week that the talks to end the war had, quote, made a lot of progress, end quote. During the interview, which took place as Trump traveled aboard Air Force One to Florida on Friday, the president directed his national security advisor Mike Waltz to, quote-unquote, get these meetings going. On Friday, the president told reporters that he would probably meet Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky this upcoming week and hinted that he planned to also talk with Putin. Earlier this week, Trump said that he wants to secure access to Ukraine's supply of rare earth minerals in exchange for continued US assistance to the country, complaining that Europe had not provided Ukraine the same level of aid as the US.
What we put up to.
And in sports news, Australia won the 2025 Vaughan Murali Trophy's Test Series 2-0, securing a 9-wicket victory in the second match against host Sri Lanka. Now, this match also marked the final international appearance for another Sri Lankan Test captain who made significant contributions towards the sports in the country.
The match was held at the Galle International Cricket Stadium. Sri Lanka, starting their second innings at 211 for the fall of 8 wickets today, were all out for 231. Kusal Mendis scored his 21st half-century in Test cricket. Australia, chasing a target of 75 runs, made steady progress and reached the target for the loss of just 1 wicket. The 17th over of the innings was bowled by Dimuth Karunaratne. Dimuth retired from the field as Sri Lanka's highest Test run scorer as an opening batsman and became the 7th Sri Lankan to play 100 Test matches.
I urge everyone to support Sri Lankan cricket in the same way. We have talented cricketers who will bring us many victories. I am truly happy about everyone who came today to the Galle Cricket Stadium for me.
Sri Lanka will be grateful to him for his service.
There's a question of whether we played against spin well enough, and we need to reflect on that. Their technique was to play both sides and focus on accumulating runs rather than just defending. That approach worked for them, but we couldn't quite apply it. They applied pressure effectively. We had half centuries, but it wasn't enough to win the match. Unfortunately, it didn't work out in this tournament. Let's see if we can correct those mistakes and move forward in the next tournaments.
And with that, we wrap up tonight's edition of Primetime News. Thank you very much for joining us. Good night.